Hello, my name is Dakota Hawkins. I'm a PrintVis consultant here with Clients First, and today I'm going to be running through a quick quote-to-cash demonstration of our software. So we begin in the Role Center. Here we can see a brief overview of any of the things that I might care about, depending on the role that I'm in. For this demonstration, I'm going to skip over the deeper details of the Role Center, and I'm going to dive directly into the creation of a case. Now, a case is what we're going to use in order to track our job all the way from quote to production into invoicing. It's all housed within a case, as you'll see here as I go through the rest of the presentation. So to create a new case, I'm simply going to select a customer that I have defined within my system. If I want to pick a contact off of that I'm in direct communication with, I can as well. For order type here, this is a field that we use to drive different workflows within the system. A gang run, for example, might run through a different workflow than a direct sales. For this example, I'm going to select a direct sales here. For my product group, I'm going to choose a large format display. What I'm doing with that product group is I've attached a base template that I know the calculations and the quoted price for. It's giving me a way to lay a foundation for the job that I want to quote and eventually run through my production process, and gives me general quantities that I can then later change without having to build an entire job from the beginning. Here's where I want to briefly touch on the workflow. Now, a workflow is driven by a customer's own workflow. It's defined during implementation. And what it does is it allows us to create status codes that break down the entire production process from quote to order, production, and eventually invoicing. This allows the system to track where a job is currently at within the production flow, along with who's responsible and the deadline to move that from one stage to another. Down here on the job line, I can see the general information for this large format job that I've put together. If I needed to change any of this information, I'd be able to do so very easily here. If I'm creating or quoting multiple versions of this, I'm also able to quickly do that here on the job line. Diving deeper into this job, I'm going to use the job card. This is giving me the individual components that this job is going to see, as well as the general paper quality, the substrate that I'm printing on, and the press that I'm using to complete this order. Clicking into the estimation page, this is the true heart of the system here. This allows us to see a breakdown of each of the different components that we have within our production process, their sub-calculation details, and a total time and offered price that result from each of these processes. With our specifications page, we're able to quickly see a visual representation of the imposition that's going to the press, along with any general web information that we might care about prior to having this job go to the production floor itself. I'm going to change this request now to a quote. The way that I'm going to do that is simply by selecting change status. And now you can see all of the requests that I had on this job line are now present as a quote. I was an estimator and I wanted to maybe change some of the quoted details of this job. I'm able to go back into the job card, scroll down quickly, and see the difference between my quoted price and my estimated price. These fields are grayed out because I'm not able to change them. These are driven by the calculations that happen within the system. But my quoted price I am able to change. If I wanted to update my net profit percentage to 10%, I can easily do that, and the system updates the pricing method as well as the quoted price that I'll be given. From here, I'm going to change the status one more time to quote sent and give you a quick example of what this quote might look like were we to send it out from the system. Given that PrintVis is built on top of Business Central, we have full Microsoft functionality. So I can email directly from the system using my Outlook integration, or I can print as a Word document or a PDF. This is a quick example of what the quote might look like. But again, this is user defined. And because this is a Word template, we're able to quickly update and match anything that you might want to include within your quote here. Let's say I've sent that out to the customer. They enjoy the 500 quantity and the price that I've given. So I'm going to change the status one more time to an order. Selecting this quote line here, I'm going to update that and tell the system that that's the exact one that I want to change to an order. Here you begin to see some of the archiving features and that historical data that I was talking about, all being housed within the case card. I can see each of the 3 quotes that I had generated, as well as which quote was transitioned to an order and the different qualities of that order. If I needed to go in and change anything about this specific order, I'm able to quickly do so via the estimation page or the job card. Once this is an order, I'm going to tell it when I would like this delivered by. Let's say by next Friday. Now that I have that put into the system, I'm able to quickly change this to a plan. Once I have this in the planning stage, I'm going to select my job by job planning and plan it based off of the shipment day. Now, I don't have any time associated with any of my design or administration, so these are not going to be planned. But you can see that I'm pulling in the general information for my shipping, table work, and for my cutting. And all of this is getting pulled into the production plan, and you're able to quickly see what components of this job will need to be started when in order to have it shipped out by next Friday at 4 o'clock. Now moving from here, I'm going to quickly transition into what a shop floor worker might see. Now going back to the role center here, this role is for a PrintVis coordinator, someone like an estimator or a customer service representative who might be trying to view this as a job holistically, where it's at in the process and where it wants to go. If I'm looking at a shop floor workers role center, you'll see that I quickly change what I'm looking at to match the responsibilities that I have for this job. I'm going to update. I'm in as Yorg right now, one of the tried and true workers that I have on my shop floor. And I'm going to actually change the cost center that I'm looking at to match what I might be pulling in for my large format. So I've put into my large format, press here, and I can see all of the jobs that I currently have present on this order. Here you can see the quote to cash demo that I was just running through. Clicking in on this, I'm able to see what a shop floor worker might be able to look at here. I'm not only able to go through a Q&A checklist, but I can also start and stop the job and register any time that might be associated with this. Once I've completed this job, I simply say job complete, and it pulls it off of the shop floor workers responsibility center here into whatever next stage of the process might be. This allows us to not rely so heavily on our shop floor workers knowing what part of the process they need to be a part of, and just solely focus on their specific press or the work center that they're a part of. Transitioning back into our PrintVis coordinator role here, I'm going to show exactly where that job is in the production process. Going back into my case, using that job by job planning, I'm able to very easily see what has been completed on my shop floor. This allows a shop floor, or this allows a PrintVis coordinator or an estimator, or even a customer service representative to easily see where the job is at on the shop floor without having to go and contact someone who's in charge of shop floor management or send an email asking where that job might be. I'm going to select completed for all of these different components. And we can go into what maybe shipping might look like. The shipments tab here is going to give us a general list of where we're shipping this to. And if I had multiple addresses that I was shipping to, I'm able to import via Excel very easily. Looking into these individual shipment cards, I can see the general information about what my quantity is, as well as what I have shipping out and the service provider that I'm using to ship. Looking into job costing, there are 3 ways that I can job cost out of the case specifically. If I wanted to look at my job costing entries, I can quickly see here a general rundown of my estimated quote, my order, and what the actual job costing might be, as well as any hour entries, item entries, or purchased items that have been associated with this job. Here I'd be able to see exactly how many hours were incurred by each of my shop floor workers within that hour entries section. If I wanted to generate a job costing report for this, I'm able to quickly print and preview, again in a Word document or a PDF, a general rundown of my job costing report. I have my quote calculation percentage and even deviation from the norm. And you can see it attributes this to all of the departments that are present within this job. The final thing that I'm able to do here from my job costing is go to my job costing journal. Now, this gives me the ability to build my job out for all of the different components. You can see I have it built for hours and materials used for this job. From here, I'm able to quickly consume or post any of these job entries directly to my financial journals. Now that job costing is done, I'm going to change that status one more time to invoicing. Now here in invoicing, I'm able to do an invoicing guide, pull in a new invoice, and either generate this invoice on the fly or using a standard template that I've created. Once I'd like to build this invoice out, I can quickly see the generated lines that have been pulled in, as well as the type that this invoice is posting to, either a GL account, an item or resource, or a fixed asset. Once that's completed, I can simply post it and even see what this posted invoice may look like. Here I have a final posted sales invoice for this job. And the last thing that I'm going to do is go into the case card and archive this case. Now, allowing myself to archive this case is going to mean that it's no longer editable. This now acts as a historical file that we can go back and reference for what the job cost, how we completed our order process, and even how it was quoted to the customer. If I so choose, I can quickly repeat this order, simply copying this case to another one with the either status of request, quote, or order. So that concludes our quote to cash quick demo of the PrintVis software. Please reach out if you have any questions. Anybody at the Clients First team would be happy to get on a call and talk through it a little bit more.